All right. So we're going to look at a very special ending from Mortal Kombat 11. Right. This is the infamous Jax ending, right? Which I took issue with years ago, and it's just yet another indication of how terrible NRS are as a developer, using people as, you know, just pawns to try and push narratives, like they did with Shao Kahn saying, you know, let's make our world great again, retconning Sindel into some money-grubbing, you know, hoe that knew what she was doing this whole time. And of course, this wonderful ending, which is, and of course, their statement about the women having to be covered up. No doubt, actually, it pleases half the NRS, some of these NRS people anyway. Maybe not half. Although I'm starting to question it actually, because some of them really seem to be afraid of boobs. I respect women. Dude, you're not interested in women. Shut up. Right? Anyway, let's watch this.
All I wanted was to fix my life. Now I have the power to fix history. Raiden warns me, I can't fix everything. Change too much and I could lose Vera, lose Jackie. But this power is bigger than us. If I think only about helping myself, what kind of officer am I? What kind of man? I've been lucky. My family and I have lived the American dream. But most people who look like me haven't had that chance. I owe it to them to put things right. And I'm not waiting centuries for people to get woke when I've got the power to speed things up. I don't get it right the first time, or the second, or even the third. But eventually, I knock it out of the damn park. My family's back. The world's a better place for everyone. Turns out, you can have everything. Anyone who says you can't needs to dream bigger.
So there's a few things I take issue with this ending, right? Again, it's peak NRS, right? Now, he says, but most people who look like me haven't had that chance. I owe it to them to put things right. So he's very specifically making it a racial motivation to end slavery for his own race, like that have gone through it. And there's nothing wrong with that notion, but it's obvious that NRS, just like most lefty type people, like to use other races and certain things, demographics, to push narratives for their own benefit. Okay? They don't actually care about you. You're just a pawn to be moved around so they can look wonderful. You know, when they bring out the alphabet month in the middle of the year, every company out there goes, oh, we care, we care. As soon as July 1st rolls around, they're going straight back to the same logo. They don't care. They don't care. Because to some of you are just useful idiots, right? To these corporations. Oh my God, they really do care about us. They changed their logo. Remember what happened with that what was it, that BL thing, whatever that happened? I don't even know if I can say it properly. You know what I'm talking about, right? They raised millions upon millions of dollars, right? Millions upon millions of dollars after that particular event that happened in the United States. You know how much of that money went to actual people that needed it? Zero. Oh, it went to their mansions, didn't it? Right? It went to their mansions. But, you know, I can't believe there's people out there that probably still defend it. You know? Oh, they care about us. Yeah, no, they don't care about you. Right? Find God. That's what you guys need to do. Right? Find Jesus and then you'll understand the truth. Because Christian, like myself, is not racist. We all bleed the same color. The color of your skin does not matter. It's what's inside the person's heart that what is actually what matters. Their intentions, their integrity. You know, their willingness to be brave and stand up and do the right thing when others will not. Okay? So there's conflicting issues with this, right? So he literally says, but most people who look like me haven't had that chance. He then says, I'm not waiting centuries for people to get woke, right? So again, I mean, that's just peak cringe right there. Not waiting for people to get woke, right? And the reality is, and I encourage people to use that tool, it's called Google, right? Look up something called the Barbary slave trades. Barbary slave trades were white people who were stolen in the, 1.2 plus million people, I think it was, that was stolen from Germanic and the Romance, like, sort of like kingdoms and whatnot, are being sold as slaves to other ethnic races. Just as bad, just as awful. The imagery that they use in Jax's ending is very specific. That's why I take issue with it. It's very specific. He's not saying about ending slavery for everyone. He's talking about ending slavery for just his people, meaning the people that look like him, right? Now you can skip to the end and go, well, you know, where was it? Over here. The world's a better place for everyone. But what does that mean? A better place for just people that look like you or for everyone, right? Because if you make sure that there's no slavery that happens obviously with people that look like Jax, but there's still slavery happening in Asian countries, white countries, like maybe South American countries, what about them? What about them? It's a fictional game, I get that, I'm not an idiot, but the reason I point it out is because this is yet another piece of the puzzle, you know, of the way that NetherRealm think. They don't actually care at all. Now we're going to go through some of the comments on these videos as well, because it's pretty funny. There's another video that's got some good comments, right? And the thing is though, like he says here, he goes, I don't get it right the first time, second time, or third time. So basically he's committing genocide after genocide after genocide to erase slavery just for his own people, when there was clearly slavery happening all over the world, which is never mentioned in this ending, which is why I have a problem with it. I also have a problem with the fact that the reason why Africans were sold into slavery is because Africans sold them. And most countries in this world have also sold out their own people for a whole horrific variety of reasons. Okay? Again, right? It's a very specific thing. They knew exactly what they were doing at this. Okay? If you look at Kano's ending, right? Kano MK11 ending. Now it makes sense in a way, right? And this is hilarious, right? Because they take the literal bad guy, the literal white bad guy, right? The white devil, you know. And it's the only time we actually see attractive outfits in the game, right? Because what they're doing is they're trying to make out that, like, oh, you know, oh, Kano's dressing him up like this, so therefore, you know, he's a horrible person. This is, again, what they do. This is how they try and, like, you know, push this false narrative that nobody ever had before. Except for blue-head whales that cry because nobody wants them because they smell like Cheetos, and people that look like certain people we've talked about before. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? Right? These outfits are hot. These outfits, if they were in the game, nobody complain about them except for the 5 people on Twitter, and nobody gives a shit about what they think, right? There's nothing wrong with this. But they stick it in this ending with Kano for the very specific reason to go, white guy, bad guy, look at what he does with the women. If any of your girlfriend walked out wearing this shit, like, unless you straight up batting for the other team, there is no way on God's green earth you would be sitting there going, you know, can you please put that away? I don't want to see, you know, that's too much skin. Nah, bro, nah. So this is another video. It got like 26,000 views, you know, roughly. It's done 4 years ago. We'll read some of these comments. I'm not waiting centuries for people to get woke. Mortal Kombat 11. I like how even Raiden tries to stop him. I saw somewhere recently that somebody had an issue with me talking about how Tanya was ugly. And that the fact that I didn't bring up Raiden. I actually did bring up Raiden being race swapped, right? Anyway, this is what happens. This is what happens when you listen to dishonest and incredibly ignorant people that don't do their research and they decide to just spout crap because spouted crap has been sent to them. Using woke unironically, any character in this game that was American doesn't exist. That means that Shao Kahn wins within 8... Oh, okay, I don't know what that means. Jack ends European slaver, Ottoman Empire, it's free real estate. Ironic how they assert social justice in a game that is literally about tearing other people's bodies into pieces. Yeah, that's right. So, and this is a really good post actually. It says, Jax, soldier, amputee, has fought in a literal death battle with the fate of the world at stake and lost his arms in said battle. Also died in said battle. Was brought back as a zombie, got a second chance at life, because don't forget he was a revenant, so he was being controlled. As an actual slave, might I add. Had a daughter who wants to follow in his footsteps to his dismay. Gets the power to control time, allowing him to end all wars and make peace with the realms, thus preventing him, his family, and his friends from having to suffer through the horrors of war and instead leading peaceful lives. Also, Jax, I'm gonna just end slavery, black slavery, and live in Wakanda because the world isn't woken up. Yes, this is actually Jax. This isn't. This is bullshit. This is like puppeteering Jax. I remember what Jax used to be like. Load him up in MK9 in previous games. Like, Jax wasn't this, whatever the crap this is, right? And you know what's hilarious? I've been saying since MK1 that, like the new one, that why did they put Jax and Darius on the bitch bench, right? They want to talk about being woke. They put one extremely prominent black dude on the bitch bench. They put another black dude that hasn't been in the game since Armageddon. They decided to shove him on the bitch bench, and yet they worship NetherRealm. And these people worship NetherRealm. I mean, if you want to talk about like inequality, shouldn't those two be in the main roster? That'd be freaking amazing. I'd swap Garrus for Darius. Garrus is just like a meat pie. Just no personality. What an idiot. I don't like the character at all. It's not because of his skin color. He's just an idiot, right? I prefer Darius being in there. Darius being done in like the modern like gear and stuff like that would have been amazing. But no, you know. Again, lefties don't actually care about the plight of actual people. They just use them as pawns. Raiden disapproves of being woke at number 9. Woketality. Damn, this makes me want to not play Jax even more than before. See, Jax actually looks good in MK1 as a cameo because he looks like old school Jax. You know, the old school, take no shit, all American hero type stuff. Gives me vibes, if anyone's seen American Ninja movies, there's a really great character, the actor's name's Steve James, he's unfortunately passed away. Steve James is amazing. If they made Mortal Kombat back in the day, and they could have had Steve James as Jax, Steve James would have been perfect as Jax. Look him up. Absolutely, just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, right? So, Jax says, I can use the hourglass to go back in time, revert my arms, and live my best life with my family and friends, or I can go woke because some dev paid me. Gonna miss Commando Jax. We got woke Jax. Watching Jaxie, now this is what people have told me, watching Jackie, I didn't care for the Combat Kids ever, like any of them. Watching Jackie's ending after this trash makes me realize how little NetherRealm understands Jax. Yeah, it's almost interesting that they took basically the way Jax is and put it on Jackie, right? Because what I understand, her ending is actually quite heartbreaking. That's Jax. That's actually Jax, right? So she's obviously like his daughter. You know, so that's actually the way Jax is, right? Jax and MK11 seem very, I don't know, man, just really selfish. Like, just not Jax at all. Great job, NetherRealm. You took a great character who mixed in well with other fighters and had some good character development and reduced him to the black guy of the group, very progressive. Yeah, well, this is the problem with woke shit, right? This is the problem. They don't actually care about you. They only care about using you as a tool to push their agenda. And it's disgusting. It's always been disgusting. But when you got guys of my colored variety call this stuff out, the reactionaries are like, well, you're just racist and you hate black people. That's not true at all. Not even a little bit. Okay? I care about the authenticity of the character remaining that way. And they turned Jax into a bitch. Right? Jax in MK9 and previous was not a bitch. Right? He was the Chad. Right? Can I say he's the black Chad? He's the black Chad, right? Awesome. Awesome character. Right? Kai was a great character. Darius is a great character. Where are they? Two of them are on the bitch bench. One of them is somewhere, right? Because they don't actually care. They don't actually care. That's the reason why there's so many more men than women in MK. Like in MK1, very little amount of women in comparison. Because if you want to get down to it, right? The first combat pack has no women in it. Oh, but NetherRealm was so good. Right? Shut the fuck up. Right? I have seen Mortal Kombat go from like this kick-ass franchise that didn't care what color you were, didn't care about political shit, and that's why you don't put this sort of crap in gaming, because it ages poorly. Mega yikes. So ending slavery somehow advances Africa past its current technological level. Not sure how that works, especially given Africa's abysmal track record for inventing technologies over the past 2,000 years. Well, I mean, that's kind of true. I mean, it's not a racist thing, right? I mean, look, like Japanese and stuff invent way more cooler shit than probably like white people do, right? It doesn't matter what color you are. Some are going to be more adept at doing this than the other, but we are all equal under the eyes of God. God, this scores high on the cringe meter. MK get woke. I didn't see Jax as a black man. I saw him as a man. Now they're making me see him as just a black man. That's correct. Yeah, that's terrible, right? So Jax is an accelerationist. Yeah, well, you know, he's basically advocating for genocide to make sure that only his people. Because again, like I said, when you go back to his ending, nothing in this ending indicates that he's ended slavery for everyone. It is very specific that they have copied Wakanda. It's very specific that there's only black people in this shot, of no other races or anything like that. It's very specific with the words that are also being used as well, and the imagery that is further used earlier on. Right? Look at Raiden here. He knew exactly what he was going to do. Right? So now Jax is a token. Yeah, look, it's just shit, man. Like, you can't win with wokey lefty idiots, right? But thankfully, you know, their movement is dying out, right? There are people that are still hanging on to it. You know, there's still people hanging on to it because it's all they've got. They built their entire identity around this rubbish. Right? And I was talking to people the other day about stuff I grew up with watching, right? I grew up watching a whole host of shows. You know, one of the big ones that I remember watching was Different Strokes. We had Webster. Obviously, like Fresh Prince came in later on. I grew up watching Lethal Weapon movies. You know, so obviously those like black-centric characters and that. Massive fan of Denzel, Wesley Snipes, Morgan Freeman, of course. You know, Cuba Gooding Jr. used to like absolutely nail it with everything he did back in the day. Don't know what he's up to in this day and age, right? Nobody gave a shit about what color you were, right? One of the best Marvel movies ever created, if you want to say the whole series, is Blade. Out of all of it, it's Blade, right? They nailed Blade 100%. And nobody will fill those shoes except for Wesley Snipes, as far as I'm concerned. I think Wesley could still do it. right? I don't care for the new dude for it. I just don't care for it. I prefer Wesley back, right? Nobody gave a shit about race. As a Gen Xer, we just didn't give a shit. Okay? It didn't matter who you are, like what you look like. If you're a good person, you're a good person, right? And it's like, you know, in Die Hard with a Vengeance, right? You know, because like there was a lot of sort of charged stuff that was going on in that movie, you know. And Sam Jackson's character is obviously very sort of, he's not a big fan of the white folk. And so what happens is that like him and Bruce Willis are going nuts like at each other, and like Bruce like stops himself at some point, and Sam Jackson's character turns around and says, "Oh, you were going to call me the N-word," and Bruce is like, no, he's like, "No, asshole, you're an asshole. That's what you are. Did I oppress you? Do I oppress your people? Right? Because the presumption was that, oh well, he's obviously just going to be racist." Like some of you are probably going to do when you watch this video. But you'd be wrong, and ignorant, and stupid, right? Because it doesn't matter what color you are. If you're a prick, you're a prick. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter about anything else. You don't have the right to inflict your ways or your assholeness on other people, I made up another word, just because of shit you've gone through in life. And looking at somebody's color of their skin is ridiculous, and just assuming that they had it worse than anyone else. You cannot do that because every single person's experience is different. You don't know what anyone went through. If I told you the shit that I went through as a kid, you'd be shocked, okay? So, you know, it doesn't matter. And that's why you should never ever judge on by what this looks like. Look beyond that into the person, figure out if they're a nice person, and that sort of thing. And when NetherRealm puts out this sort of garbage, I don't think they're nice people. They are just buying in and using people as tokens. And we see that further on in MK1, that they're just absolutely, like, they're completely creatively bankrupt. They have committed themselves to this path, and it's absolutely showing in also almost every metric of the game's conception and execution. And the interesting part is that we have the Japanese people who brought in, I believe that they were brand new characters. Right? I believe they were brand new characters for, one was for Samurai Showdown with Dali Dagger, right? Looks beautiful, by the way, right? Looks gorgeous. And then I think it was Dolores, King of Fighters, right? Beautiful. See, everyone when they see my video and I say, oh, I don't like Tanya's ugly, right? I can say she's ugly. All the bitches in MK1 are ugly except for maybe Sindel. Okay? It's not a race thing. It's a woman thing. Something's wrong with them. Maybe you like your women with square jaws, but not for me, right? Not for me. Okay? So how is it the Japanese, not just the chicks, but the dudes as well, how is it the Japanese are able to put other ethnic backgrounds and races into their games in such a way that it glorifies their race and their heritage and their history, but also doesn't make them look fugly as shit, right? Because that's a Western thing. To make these women look downright ugly, which I think is an absolute insult, right? Like how could you sit there and go, oh what? So the only way that you see us as these women in video games or these is looking this way every time? Look into it yourselves. All these Western video games that always feature, like say, a black lady, they all end up looking the same, having the same proclivities, same hairstyle, same facial features. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, they are doing this on purpose, right? I grew up watching hot women of all races. Vanessa Williams, Halle Berry, Aliyah. If anyone doesn't know who Aliyah is, she was an R&B singer, God rest her soul. She passed way too young for her age. Beautiful. Beautiful, right? You had Whitney Houston, you had Janet Jackson kicking it up, you had all the R&B singers back in the 90s. Nobody gave a shit. We just looked at them and go, man, they're hot. They're gorgeous. Right? Nobody gave a shit. Right? And what happened? Because they attack femininity, they attack beauty, and this is what they do. And then if you don't like it, oh, you're the bad guy. It's disgusting behavior, and it never should have happened, right? This is what happens when you let activists take over your jobs, take over your company, and push narratives that don't work with 98% of the population, okay? Most people don't care about the color of somebody's skin. They care about the person on the inside, and that's the only thing that should ever matter when it comes to anyone in this world. So that's just but one of the many reasons I have, as most of you know, that I do have with Mortal Kombat and NetherRealm in general. And I think it's good that MK1 is absolutely failing, because I think it's time that, you know, they start to listen to their fans, giving the fans exactly what the fans want as a Mortal Kombat game, when every other fighting game company manages to do that for their own fan base respectively. And learn a hard lesson that, you know, everything woke turns to shit. So anyway, guys, catch you next time.